Hi there, Lee Farnell from Leading Your Best Life podcast. Thanks for listening. In this podcast, I want to talk to you about red flags. Red flags in business. Red flags. What am I talking about? Well, stay tuned and let me share it with you. Well, the universe is a strange place, isn't it? How you're constantly learning lessons in business. I was talking to a guy today who's roughly my age, and we say you never stop learning. And here we're talking about red flags in business. And I literally came across a quote on Twitter the other day. Kim Kiyosaki, Robert Kiyosaki's wife, business partner, said, the number of times she made mistakes in business was when she didn't listen to her intuition. She said there were red flags and I chose to just keep barging on through. And I could relate to that so much because in recent times there's been this person I've been doing conversations with, and really to a certain extent I suppose at the end of the day they contacted me. There's been so many red flags, but I wanted to push on because there was hope, there was ideas, there was money, it was exciting, it was overseas travel, etc., etc. But it was blue sky bullshit, folks. So I'm going to go through some of the red flags that where do I start? Well, first of all, the person was talking telephone book numbers, outrageous numbers. Then they were also talking about some outrageous things that they'd done in their life, which was like, wow, this is incredibly revealing that this person's saying these things, which to a certain extent even sounded like, isn't this a government secret that shouldn't even be revealed? Then every phone call or Zoom call was like from a kitchen table. There was no office, there was no staff, there was no other people in the meeting. And then when we actually did do some conversations with people that were potentially leaders or members of that person's team, they started to give doubt and started to give me some stories, which I went, whoa, that's a red flag. Now, talking of red flag, my wife has a cousin who they were having a conversation the other day, and the cousin just pulled out this red handkerchief and started waving it. And my wife said, what's that? She goes, well, in team meetings these days, I don't even bother saying that's a red flag, that's a warning. I just wave this flag, I just wave this handkerchief. And in other words, make it visual that what's being said is a warning. It's a warning sign. So it's just incredible. Now, things like being late. Being late, not complying when I've asked the person to do something, and then they don't do it. Then they give excuse. Then they give another excuse, and then they give another excuse. It's like, how many excuses do you want? And then, of course, they want me to introduce them to senior executives or members of my network, which I must say, I thought I'd put them to the test on this one occasion to see how they'd perform. And I actually gave this senior person the heads up saying, look, I don't know what's going to go on here, but let's just go with it and see what happens. Man, oh man, oh man. Needless to say, it was semi-crazy of what actually happened. I won't go into it. But I come across this article from the business journals here on how to spot red flags of shady business behaviour. And it kind of matched a lot of what I felt. Now, this is in no particular order, but, there are 12 red flags they talk about of a shady business character. One, they pay with a money order. Legitimate companies have legitimate company checking accounts. So if they own a $50 million business but insist on paying your deposit with a credit card, money order or cash instead of a company check, something's fishy. As they say, money talks and bullshit walks. Money talks and bullshit walks. So when all of a sudden you ask for the money and they start to run, duck, dive, run for cover, well, I'm probably going to be wasting my time here. Which comes back to point two. They can't walk the talk. They misrepresent themselves. They talk a big game, but they can't deliver. And even then, they start endorsing business practices where you go, wow, that seems a bit shady, or that seems questionable. Or their budget expectations are low, or they try to actually get you to do things for nothing. Then this one, which this fellow did, they boast business partners who have no reciprocation. They allege that they've done work with certain people, or they've had meetings with people, or they've done business with people, but there's nothing to back it up. They tout pictures of themselves with important people at public events, or they pull pictures from someone else's website. And on this occasion, there's pictures on this person's website of people that literally have had nothing to do with them for 5 or more years. Now, this is where doing due diligence is so important. Get references, get testimonials, business people or sporting people or movie stars, or dropping big names around. It's like confusing you with bullshit. And they're in a big hurry. They're in a big hurry. In this case, this person was in a hurry, but at the same time was never actually delivered on what they said they were going to do. They talked a whole lot of fluff. And of course, then they try to manipulate you. Shady characters rely on all kinds of mind games. They start being things like, oh, you're not a team player, or what about you being part of the family? I want you to be part of my family. I want to support your family. It's all about the family. Or even better, it's not about the money, it's about the legacy we're going to leave. It's not about the money, it's about the difference we're going to make to humanity. Yeah, sure. As I said to this person, mate, even the Salvation Army need to make money to stay in business. Blue Sky doesn't pay the phone bills. Blue Sky doesn't put food on my table, but thanks all the same. And then they want to use your resources, but they don't want to pay for them. Oh yeah, that's a ripper as well. They withhold items that need your work. There's a shady tactic designed to get more of something for nothing and then delay paying you your due. It's called stringing you along. Oh yeah, that's a great red flag. It might also be a mark of total incompetence, of course. So sometimes it's like, well, are they incompetent, or are they shady, or are they both? Or are they actually having some kind of delusional mental illness where they actually believe their own bullshit? So your due diligence, checking it out with people who know them, ringing them up, having a coffee with people. Save yourself the time. As one of my friends said the other day, if I've only got a 1 in 10 chance of getting the business, I'm better off not even bothering and spending time down the beach with my kids. Life is too short. Then, of course, this one here, professional societies or peer organisations who haven't heard of them. They big note themselves in that particular field. Then you actually ring someone in that industry, they go, I've never heard of them. And then this is a big one. They can't find or hold on to good people. And even in this project with this fellow, 2 or 3 people dropped out over the course of the 4 or 5 weeks. So that gives you an idea as well. So they can't hang on to people. It's like a turnstile of talent, because good people do not stick around with bullshit artists or flakes or fakes. So yeah, then they get a non-specific answer like, oh, they didn't work out, or I keep trying to find good people and I just can't. No, there's a reason for that. And as I say, there's always one person at the scene of the crime. And of course, they may even have a criminal history, so it's well worth doing a Google search on that. So point 12 here says they speak to your gut. When you say, I've got a bad feeling about this, as it says in Star Wars, whenever somebody says, I've got a bad feeling about this, something bad usually happens. So trust your gut. What's to say here? I'm not saying a giant space worm is going to eat you, but I am saying you should trust your gut. Oh yes, Kim Kiyosaki, the same thing. My gut was telling me this is bad news. My gut was telling me trust your intuition, which is really your subconscious mind, literally gathering all the data. But of course your auditory mind is, no, but this sounds good. Your auditory brain is trying to talk you into it, but your gut already knows, your intuition already knows. If you're working with someone who makes you feel uneasy, then light speed it out of there. Good line. If you're working with somebody who makes you feel uneasy, then light speed it out of here, which is exactly the reason I've just sent this person an email saying, I'm withdrawing my offer. I'm not going to spend any more time on this. Good luck with your future, but there are too many red flags for me. I wish you all the best. I even said, don't bother paying part of the invoice because the chances of me getting the money are pretty slim anyway. All the best. I hope that helps you. In fact, he's just contacted me. How bizarre. He's responding to my withdrawal. All the best, and watch those red flags and save yourself time, money, energy and stress. If you want help with any of this, touch base. I'm Lee Farnell.